Now that I've stopped myself from staring at the screen and doing absolutely nothing, it is time to get into the reset update. Now, if you logged into Destiny today, you would find that you have a double Nightfall rewards week currently active, and it is also supplemented by a rank boosted Vanguard rep week. So, I don't know if it's just something to keep people interested, but it seems like they're kind of ranking out, at least currently, double rank and double rewards at the same time. I don't know if this will be consistent or if this is just a thing they're doing while the, season is freshly in Riven's Wishes. It might be during Riven's Wishes, who knows what's going on. But like I said, that is the two active boosters right now. No Iron Banner currently, which means we'll have trials, but getting into the rest of the world. So for Vanguard, our current weekly farming strike is actually the Corrupted, which nowadays might still be a bit annoying and it can all go wrong in an instant, but at the same time it's still not the worst Nightfall. However, the weapon is a little bit more to be desired. More on that in a bit. So the modifiers are all three elemental shields, and of course Unstoppable and Overload champions because you're facing mostly Taken and Scorn. Then you have Arc Threat for incoming arc damage being boosted, which, if I recall, Hunter Resilience, all the resists leave you one shot from the final boss's basic attack. Then you have the usual Grandmaster modifiers, Extinguish, Live and Revise. Epitaph for taking battens of forming those Blight Geysers when defeated, so careful on close proximity. Shaft for no radar, the usual seasonal overcharge, as well as stasis and solar surge, more ice and fire, as well as overcharge rocket launchers. So melting bosses might be a little bit easier with every rocket launcher having a 25% damage buff. Now, like I said, it is not exactly the week to farm though, just because it has a weapon that I don't think many people will be seeking the adepts for, and that is Uzume RR4. While it is a decent enough sniper rifle, I doubt that anyone is exactly going nuts to get this, especially since it's fresher restored, so I imagine people can get this when there's something else not so exactly desirable, or maybe even wait for a easier Nightfall. But on that note, it's solar, adaptive frame, adept, there's a few roles that can go either way, PvE or PvP, but not exactly worth going home about. Then you have the usual Gambit stuff, and for Crucible, our rotation modes are Mayhem, Relic 66 Labs, which I believe this is staying around for a while, and then the usual competitive and elimination 3v3 quick play. So there you go. If you wish to have a week of just normal Crucible modes, there is no checkmate or anything. You have normal control, rumble, relic is a little bit goofy, but at the same time, it's mostly normal Crucible for y'all degenerates. And then moving into the rest of the world. So like I said, Riven's Wishes is rotating about in another week, which I don't know exactly all of the details on how it can be farmed out, but this one's week, let's see, basically doing Ascendant challenges in the Dreaming City. If you don't know what that is, you have to find what is known as a Tincture of Queensfoil, and when you roam about into the area it's active, you'll see the realm, or the veil between realms becomes weaker, or something like that, and the Tincture of Queensfoil allows you to enter the Ascendant challenge, which it will have something that is not so standard than just killing things in some weird way, but essentially you finish that, you'll get the Ascendant chest, and as for 7 of them, I don't know if that means 7 different ones. I forget if they're daily or weekly. It's been ages since I had to do anything regarding Ascendant challenges, so just run it once or twice to see if you'll get multiple rewards. Maybe you'll be able to do this instantly, who knows, you might be able to just get it done and get the wish tokens out of the way. Then, moving into the rest of the world. So, for the seasonal stuff, just to keep it prime and primo, the Coil, its various pathways include the Divining Hall, first steps in the Temple of the Queen's Wrath, Sensorium in the Reaver's Orison, and the first steps in the Cell of the Sycophant. I'm not gonna lie, there's not a lot of variety in the Coil, is there? It's basically what boss is in what room and what challenges in a various area. Then, aside from that bit of seasonal stuff, for our current up-to-date stuffs, for Crota's and Raid, we have Conservation of Energy, which is basically first encounter challenge. Only 1 lamp per deposit of the Chalice of Crota. Master Mode is, of course, also spawning Recovery, Focused Armor, and then his usual modifiers, including the same Surges, Ice and Fire, and Overcharged Trace Rifle currently being active. So Divinity has a little bit of a leg to stand on nowadays. Then, for our weekly rotation mission, it is currently Presage, which means that is, of course, around. Anything from Season of the Haunted, including the old Menagerie weapons, is, of course, back. The exception for Imperial Decree. So, if you wish to actually farm this out and get your hands on some of the gear from that, it is currently active. And speaking of farming blank, Vault of Glass is active, which means that all challenge modes are active, which also means that Master Mode is available. It also means that if you wanted to grind out every single Master Mode time-lost weapon, you can. You just need a team that can actually do it. And of course, the same Ice and Fire as well as Rocket Charge bonus is active, and the Strength-focused armor for Master Vault of Glass this time around. Like I said though, all challenges active, infinitely farmable. If you wanted to get some people together and try to get I almost said Vexcalibur, Vex Mythoclast together, that is something that is on the docket for today. But then going throughout the world, I believe, no, not here. I am mistaken again, unless there's a second dungeon. I just need to actually remember where the farming dungeon is. Is it Grasp of Out? No. I seem to be missing my rotation throughout the world. It might just be Shattered Throne, come to think of it. Yes. It is Shattered Throne that is currently active for our farming dungeon. Now, I will say, as I've always said with Shattered Throne, it does have refresh weapons. It does have stuff in there that is kind of easier to get, technically. But at the same time, it is weapons that is available from any place in the Dreaming City. So, is it worth going for? Literally, maybe only if you can do the final boss farm in like 30 seconds. But even still, is that worth the time? Then, in terms of the rest of the world, now, going to start to finish I should have just kept going. For our raid challenge modes, just to keep everything going, Dreaming City in the Last Wish is currently Forever Fight. But at the same time, if you wanted to turn in Riven's Wish tokens to just get random weapon drops that you need, maybe go there instead. Then, aside from Forever Fight, let's see, going into Garden of Salvation on the Moon, we have To the Top challenge, which I honestly forget which one that one refers to. It might be First Encounter. I forget sometimes. Then for the Deepstone Crypt, it is Red Rover, which is going all the way back around. Basically, man, I must have missed this one last week, because I forget if I mentioned it was 10x challenge this week. Regardless, Red Rover is the First Encounter challenge security. A bit of an annoying one, because it forces you to do it in a minimum of 3 turns. Then going into Savathun's Throne World for Vow of the Disciple, we currently have Defenses Down challenge, which is the second encounter. No, that is third encounter challenge. Excuse me, exhibition. Basically, you can only kill 6 total knights, 1 for every person. While we're there, Root of Nightmares currently is the Crossfire challenge, second encounter challenge. Can only shoot across the chasm before the encounter. And then for wrapping it up, for King's Fall, we have the Gaze Amaze challenge, which is Golgoroth challenge that I can actually remember for certain that one is. Then, that is pretty much everything throughout the world. Dares of Eternity is currently active, as always, and its legendary mode is Vex, Cabal, and Crota, for those that still need to hunt that bit. Then, let's see, I believe that is everything, and like I mentioned last week, I think, because it was week 10, yes, we are not getting any more of the seasonal challenges that are weekly drops. Basically, this is all we got, unfortunately. I was hoping that Bungie might have added more just because of the extra long season. My hopes were in vain, though. So, if you're expecting more Bright Dust or XP that were easy to get because of these challenges, you have what is available. There will be no more. So, if you want to get to the large pile of Bright Dust, do all 63 challenges required. You got to do them in what you got, unfortunately. And with that, it is time to get into the rest of the world. Now, the Eververse actually has lots of good stuff, I'd say, or at least good and newish. So getting on the front page already, we have 2 shaders. One is Hazard Pay from Season of the Lost, Season 15, which doesn't look very hazardous or very rich. It looks quite dirty and gruff, so it's hard to say what that means. Then we also have Circadian Chill from Season of Dawn, which is a definitely chilly look. Lots of white, dark blues. It looks like it is possibly a aquatic ice. Then we also have Inflorescence, which this is one of those things you could just forget about. It is a blue rarity transmat that they just made purple, recolored, and called it something different. It is one of those things that will never stop hounding Bungie on because that seems like such a shortcut. Then we also have the Pale Rider, which is for the Fourth Horseman. A very cool look for Fourth Horseman, I'm not going to lie. Sadly, I prefer the ornament that goes akin with Fourth Horseman in its original season. I think it was the Rank 100 challenge. Or actually, no, it was just an ornament that was available. But yeah, it's a cool look. I just prefer other things. Then we also have Festive Sparks, which is a part of the Chinese Lunar New Year thing that Bungie always takes part in. They always have something that comes around, which this is something from the original Chinese Lunar New Year, and you might have spotted it right here. This is the new thing that they added this season, a two-tailed fox ornament that is more like two-tailed dragon instead, and it does look quite good. The sad thing is, like always, I would love to customize colors, just because there's tons of red and gold stuff in Destiny already. I just wished I could rework it a little bit. Then into our main stuff, you'll start seeing some stuff here. Then we also have Calco's Finery, which is from Black Armory. It's decent enough looking, but it's hard to say if it's themed to anything. It reminds me of old Rasmussen, but without the waves. Then we also have Grayscale Undergrowth, which is definitely gray, and it's, well, gray and tan. Then we also have Empirical Imperative, which is from Season 1. This was the set that was a match to the Warmind's Chosen stuff. Basically, if you had any of the gear from the season, this was the shader that made the gear look like that. And we also have Gamekeeper, which is from Season of the Witch. And, yeah, it's dark, and it doesn't look anything like its shader tone would suggest. Then for our transmats, we have some originals. The Taken Rival from the original vanilla season of Destiny. And the Cabal Shieldbreaker from Season of the Dawn, the Saint season. As well as Stasis Entrance from Season of the Hunt. It's premier season for Stasis. Then for our big ticket items, we have Origami Crane, another one that I believe is a part of Lunar New Year. Which, well, it's hard to say for certain, but I imagine it's something similar to like. But, you know, or little origami crane that you just kind of let fly. And we also have the Jubilant Decree, which is a part of the 30th anniversary, which I think this is supposed to be a Prophet reference. I can't say for certain based on that hat. Again, I'm not sure considering that's 30th anniversary. And we also have the Arcade Shell, which it looks like an arcade cabinet, which is a three-faced arcade cabinet. It's very cute for the Ghost Shell. Then we also have the Cosmos Light Beam, which I think I mentioned some of this partner stuff that was in the store just last week. If you looked out for the Cosmos Starling or something like that, there was a Sparrow and a Ghost Shell that has been around in recent weeks. This is a part of that same set. And we also have the Out of Dodge, which is, I think, I forget if this was supposed to be a Survivor set or just a Firefighter set. I forget what it's supposed to look like. It does look pretty interesting, almost like an ATV, but it's hard to say what set it's a part of. And for all three classes, there is an ornament that is new to this season. So for the Titans, we have the Aurora Sacrifice, which is basically a Rasputin look for Hollowfire Heart, which I'm not going to lie. This is one of those things that reminds me that Bungie is really good at making designs, excluding reskinning transmats. But, you know, it looks amazing. I just don't know if I have anything that I could pair with it that it could exactly make it look like a Rasputin set, aside from the old Ikelos, and basically anything Warmind. That's the only thing that could go with it without looking tacky. Then for the other classes, I actually already have a few things. Now, if you're a hunter and we're excited for something for Star Eater scales, it is the Vex Look for Star Eater scale ornament that's currently available in the Bright store for all of you hunters. And for the Warlocks, I might say get excited, but at the same time, you know, I would say good looking, but it doesn't look better than the Frosty Look for Osmiomancy gloves. It looks clean and does pair with the currently available, you know, armor match set that's in the store. I just don't know if I would pick it over the other one. You know, if you like it better than Osmiomancy in its basic state or the Frosty Look, you know, take it or leave it, you know. But it does pair with something that's currently in the store for a exotic pair look, so if you wish to add that to your set, go ahead and do it. Then for Banshee, currently available guns on his front page. Whispering Slab, something I've mentioned several times. It's nifty, but incredibly outdated. I would recommend anything better. Almost literally anything better. Then Cartesian Coordinate, an old meta in terms of damage, which I think is still technically meta because this was the only things that could get Vorpal in its time. And in the solar days that we're having, I would say this is a pretty good thing, but you know, it's not exactly the best perks, so just bear with it. Then we also have Annual Skate, which is very similarly so outdated, and it is a very solid gun. I believe this was a certain Crucible meta when it came out, but you know, it's one of those things that is just very outdated at this point. As well as Ogma PR6. While this is, if I recall, craftable, or maybe not. It's hard to recall. It's also one of those things that's only really good in Crucible, but has all the PvE perks. It has no real place in anything, honestly, aside from just a temporary weapon for bounties. Same thing with Palmyra. This is something that it used to be completely meta, but at the same time, since they've reworked rocket launchers a little bit, it kind of dropped off of the world. It's pretty much only good just because it's something that can be crafted in like 2 red borders, so if you need something, you got something, but I would get anything better, I would use anything else as fast as possible. And to wrap everything up, we have 2 sets of red and gold, so stay tuned. For House of Myron, it is the live animated one and slightly more recent. Pretty solid look if you want to make any sort of Iron Man look, but like I said, there is a tone of live shader that you can't exactly see unless you look at it closely. So, you know, if you don't like it, then you maybe don't. Then we also have Flowers of Io Worn, which is one of those shaders that was meant to look like one of the vanilla planets, but a little bit rougher. But now looking at it, I can't exactly see any roughness compared to its base version. And we also have New Monarchy Regalia, which is another one of those faction shaders that keeps coming about that almost always, well, come to think of it, this looks like a better Iron Man one anyways. A little bit more metallic, less live, and just looks a bit clean. With that, my name is Matt Scorpion. Thank you for watching. I will see you in the next video.